Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we'll take a look back into some old game features that have since then been removed in this current version of Lost Light. These are features that have been well beloved by the Lost Light community, but due to reasons such as business decisions, negligence, or even incompetency, led to these being removed from the game completely. I make videos on Lost Light and other extraction games, and if this is the content that you would like, please consider subscribing to get notified whenever I do uploads and live streams on this channel. Also, do let me know what other extraction related games you would like me to cover or play in future videos. Please let me know in the comment section down below. Having that out of the way, here are 6 features Lost Light removed and should bring back to the game. Number 1. Secure cases. These are the more traditional containers that are commonly used in most extraction games. You can consider it like a staple in the extraction shooter genre. Before they were pets, these were proper containers of the same item slot spaces, starting with a 1x2 secured storage, which you can upgrade or even purchase a better case with even more storage. It still stands today as one of the most questionable decisions the developers have made for the game to remove these cases and exchange them into pet companions. Although pets do serve the same purpose, they became a corny gimmick that is a cliche with mobile game development. Initially, the introduction of the pet system was not completely hated, not until they introduced both Alice and Noah. These are 2 robotic pets with abilities that players can use on the field. Noah had the auto-loot ability to gather items in a specific area without you being there, and Alice, Alice, had the auto-attack ability which stuns enemy players when it gets close enough to them. I suspected that they added these pets as another part of their monetization model, giving these creatures overpowered abilities and better secured storage, all behind the paywall that you can either buy into or grind for multiple hours just to get the basic level of the pet. Yes, you just get the basic level of the pet upon purchase, and takes several levels of more grinding just to get their best abilities and storage capacity. Now I understand the desire of the developers to have the players play more, but to me this is just overcomplicating things, and secure cases would have been the better option. They could have even added monetization on buying these secure cases, but in a less overinflated way, and players would still buy into it. Number 2. Visible armor. Gone were the days where you would be able to pick your fights as before. You were able to see what kind of level of gear an enemy has brought into the exclusion zone. Strategy came into play as players would attack enemy players with better armor through leg shots, or as we know as the leg meta. Not only does armor visibility give you a boost in defense, it also makes you look as formidable as possible. In my opinion, the reason they removed the visible armor pieces is to avoid hiding any cosmetics that they are selling in the game. It makes sense because if a player buys a skin but can't see it, they would not be happy with their purchase. If my theory is somehow true, the removal of visible armor was a business decision from NetEase. Ever since the removal, majority of players have consistently asked the developers on why they made this decision, but not a single answer was given. Number 3. Game lore. In the past versions of Lost Light, they had lore. Yes, there was a story as to what happened and how the post-apocalyptic environment came to be. We have but bits and pieces put together by what's left of the game's official wiki page, sharing how humans have experienced the apocalypse and also how they are working hard on restoration and peace in their time. 2 names were mentioned as main stories of the game, namely Judas and Alita. Based on some old posts on their Facebook page, Alita was the point person in collecting Hela antibodies, and she was the one reporting the progress of every server region in the game. Judas, on the other hand, had a bigger backstory than what is presented in today's version of the game. From the wiki, we can see most of his backstory, his experiences in missions, how he lost his memories, and how this broken knife has a bigger meaning than you think. It would have been an interesting story to dive into, and also separates players from the consistent gameplay loop, and also understand what is happening in the game. Number 4. Third-person perspective. Back then, this was the only point of view you would have when you were playing Lost Light. You had a bigger view of what was happening in your surroundings, and you can also visibly see what your character looks like and what he or she is doing. This also adds into the earlier point I made about visibility of your armor, helping you appreciate your character more and how strong they look. Upon the addition of first-person perspective, they have then separated queues for third-person perspective, which caused some longer matchmaking times. And a few updates more, they finally made the decision to remove TPP for good. This is to ensure that matchmaking is not affected, forcing players into the new POV. Personally, I found FPP was the better choice to eliminate corner peeking or camping and also made the game feel more immersive. But looking at it now, I can appreciate how good the game looked back then with a more gritty and grounded look and less arcade-like in appearance. Number 5. Marauder Mode. Previously, you were able to disguise yourself as a Marauder, the enemy NPC faction, and go into operations with low risk and a pre-selected loadout. In this mode, low-level Marauders would not attack you unless provoked. This gives you the freedom to roam around the map areas and gather loot safely. But in any chance you run into mini-boss NPCs or a boss NPC like Raymond, they will see through your disguise immediately. This also gives you a chance to combat against player Fireflies as well, creating a more engaging fight as you are fighting these Fireflies with lesser gear, making the victory so much sweeter when you outsmart or outplay them and take all of their precious loot. In later seasons, the developers have decided to remove this feature for good and have since then replaced it with a PvE mode called Joint Exercise. From my speculation, this again falls under matchmaking problems the game has had. Because of dwindling player numbers and eliminating Marauder mode seemed like their best choice to sacrifice, so that players would have to focus on the PvP game modes and appease the casual players with the PvE mode as well. Number 6. Controller Support. This is by far one of the worst decisions the developers have made, as controller support contributed into more players playing the game. Having the accessibility and the convenience of using a controller or gamepad as an input device in playing the game was very much important to the community. It was not perfect, but it worked well. They had proper mappings on most controllers and had different layouts as well. This also helped players who are not used to touch controls on mobile devices, as the controller gives more flexibility and comfortability. It's still a mystery to me on why they removed this feature. One possible cause would be a lack of manpower focusing on the development side of this specific feature, given that rumors circulated around that there were massive layoffs and firings from their development team. This feature may have been caught in the crossfire and has since then been shelved. But having been mentioned in a patch update, there's still a chance that this might come back in the near future. If not, this completely alienates a majority of players who play on controllers and they are being forced to make the decision to leave the game. And those were the features the developers have since then removed and have no signs of coming back as of today. What did you think? If you had an overall say to the developers on what they should do, what should they bring back? What other features have they removed that I did not mention in this video? Let me know in the comment section down below. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give a like on it, and if you didn't, you can also dislike it. Regardless, I appreciate you taking your time to watch until the end, and if you did, please comment Lost Light was better in the comment section. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.